Removing a lover. Last night, my wife and I attended her company's holiday party. She is a cheerful woman, medium height, medium build, with blonde hair, brown eyes, and a great smile. Melanie Bolden. I'm Bob Bolden. We're both 35. I'm 6 feet tall, slim, fairly trim, dark hair and eyes. Some people say I have a dark side. I don't see it. I try to be fair. Sometimes that means being harsh. Sometimes it doesn't. Mel works for a real estate agency, doing paperwork, bookkeeping, and general legal work. She is not a full-fledged lawyer, but has specialized training in the materials needed for her job. She has been working here for 6 years now, since our youngest went to school. We have a boy, Johnny, and a girl, Jenny. I work from home, mostly as a troubleshooter for a tech company. I travel from time to time, but no more than a week at a time, maybe 3 times a year. Since I'm home a lot, I have daily childcare responsibilities. Mel works pretty consistently 5 days a week, 8 to 5. Not much late-night work and no traveling. When I go to work, her parents fill in for me at home. Well, back to the holiday party. We've attended it every year since she went to work at J&J Homes. The firm employs 40 people, including staff and sales. Mel has an administrative assistant. Until recently, it was Jane Norworth, but she retired. A month ago, the firm hired a guy to replace Jane. I found out about it at a party, not before. When we got to the venue, a hotel conference room, Mel left me. I walked over to the open bar and grabbed a beer. I talked to a few people I'd met before at other events. One of them was Sally Bennett. Sally and Mel had started at the firm around the same time. Sally was pretty, but she was in her late 50s now. She came over to me and I gave her a brief hug. "How are you doing, Sally?" "Pretty good. All the kids are at school now. Harry and I are having a good time together." "Sounds great. Are you going to travel?" "Haven't decided at the moment. College is expensive, so what do you think of the new employee?" "Who is it?" "Oh," she paused, looking at Mel. "Mel's new assistant, William Newson. He's the one talking to Mel right now." I looked over. Mel was talking to a young man about my height. He had blonde hair and a stocky build. In my opinion, he was in her space. I watched him for a minute or so. Mel didn't move away. "Sally, I never knew about the new employee. I think you might have something to say about that, don't you?" "Bob, I do wonder. He's been filling in for Jane for a month now." Come on, Sally, I can see you have something to say. Say it, please." "They're pretty friendly. They go out to lunch maybe twice a week, but, Bob, they don't stay long. You know what I mean." "You mean she didn't have sex with him at lunchtime? I'm assuming that's what you're saying. Don't use euphemisms." "I'm sure they haven't done it yet. I'm not sure how long that will last, especially since you haven't even been told about him. I think I'll walk over and introduce myself." I nonchalantly approached Mel and her friend. Neither of them noticed my approach. I stood next to Mel. "Hi, Mel. Would you mind introducing me to your friend?" Mel blushed. "Oh, of course, this is Bill Newsom. He works at the firm now. Bill, this is my husband, Bob." Bill looked at me, seemingly with curiosity. He held out his hand for a handshake. I hesitated for a second, then grabbed his hand. He squeezed it, obviously as hard as he could. I smiled at him and hurt him at the same time. He bounced back a little. I let go of him. Mel was silent, but she noticed this man-hatred. I looked over at her. The music was playing. There was a dance floor. I took her by the elbow and led her there. It was a slow dance, and we held each other very close. I leaned back and looked at her. "Why didn't you mention this guy? Apparently you work closely with him. He took Jane's place." I felt her tense up. "He's my new assistant. I was sure I mentioned that." "Mel, I feel more insecure about a lot of things than I ever have before. Are you making love to this guy?" "No!" It was said with some ferocity, and the people around us noticed it. "Well, I know for a fact that you never mentioned him. I didn't know Jane had left. And I certainly didn't know anything about this guy. How close were you and him? Not close. We work together almost every day. That's about it. See, Mel? You just lied. You want to tell me about the lunches? Shit. Someone... What? Turned you in? That's an eloquent answer. Bob, I didn't do anything to him. I swear. The lunches. Well, he's nice. He invited me, and, it's just lunch. But, Mel, you gotta get rid of that crap. Don't mess with me, Mel. We have kids. If you have something going on with him, you need to stop it. How is that gonna happen if you work with him all day? The music stopped, and a faster song started. There was no band, just the DJ. I pushed Mel away from me and whirled her around in a whirlwind. She smiled at me. We did this dance. We were both good dancers and we loved it. We stayed there for the rock number. We split up, danced with each other, split up, spun around each other. The dance we did was twisted and sexy. We found ourselves entwined in each other when the music stopped. I backed away from her and we walked over to the drink table and got some water. You're such a good dancer, Bobby. I won't ruin it. You're my man. No one else. She sort of whispered this as we left with our bottles of water. I'm glad to hear it. We were talking to her boss, John Stevens, when Bill came up. He said, "It was a real dance exhibition. Are you guys taking lessons?" Mel said, "No." She continued talking to John. I looked at Bill, smiled, and waved for him to come with me. As we were leaving, I heard John Stevens say, "Is there any trouble between Bob and Bill?" I didn't hear what she said to him. I walked Bill to the balcony exit, about 10 feet off the ground. The question of whether he would stay on the balcony was hanging in the air right now. He said, "Bob, I don't want any trouble here. Melanie and I are friends, and that's all there is to it." I hear what you're saying, but I don't believe it. I want to clear something up for you to avoid trouble later. I suspect that you and her are connected in some way that goes beyond what I would be comfortable with. In fact, I know that for a fact. You two should give it up. But I don't know how to do that if you work with her every day. Do you have any suggestions? I really like her. I think she likes me. As a friend. But just now she's been abrupt with me, almost rude. I know Mr. Stevens noticed. I need this job. So I'll keep this situation in mind. It can be uncomfortable, but I'll just be a coworker. Okay. If I have any reason to suspect otherwise, I will have to take certain actions. Please don't drag us into this situation. I won't. I went back to the big room. Mel was talking to Sally. It looked like they had had a little spat. I was able to approach Mel again without her noticing me. Sally, however, saw me, and she abruptly stopped talking. "Hello, ladies. Everything all right?" Sally said. "Sure. Just a little discussion. About Bill, though." Mel said, "Bob, I saw you and Bill go out on the balcony. Is he, still on the balcony?" "Uh-huh." We had a frank conversation. The DJ started playing again, and I took Mel dancing. We did 3 more, ending with a slow song that pressed us against each other. I was horny, and she was hot. It must have been noticeable because when it was over, we got a little applause. A little awkwardly. We left the party shortly afterward. The ride home went fine. Not much to say. When we walked through our door, she jumped on me, kissed me, and pushed me onto the couch. The kids were at her parents' house. I responded. After a few kisses, just like old times, I picked her up in my arms and carried her upstairs. We made love. It was one of those times when I treated her just like a sex toy. She was so turned on by it. I came soon after that, and so did she. Again. Just you, big boy. Just you for me. That's good to hear. I guess I had to work for it, though. She smiled at me. Maybe I should call out your jealous side more often. That seemed to amuse me well. After that night, I was less worried about Bill, but not really. 2 weeks passed, and I stopped by Mel's office on my lunch hour. Sally saw me walk through the door. She seemed worried. "Hey, Sally, is Mel here?" "Sure, I'll get her." "Don't worry, I'll surprise her." Now Sally was looking back at Mel's door. I walked down the hall, opened her office door. She and Bill were sitting on her couch next to each other, close, thigh to thigh. His arm was resting on the back of the couch, but not directly on Mel, but her hand was resting on his knee. I said in an even voice, "You two are uncomfortable." When they saw me, they looked far from comfortable. Mel said, "Hi, Bob. What are you doing here?" Her voice was shaking. "I wanted to see if you had a lunch date or maybe you wanted to eat with me." "Yeah, I'd like to go with you." I turned to Bill. "You and I are going to have a serious talk, Bill. After work today. I'll meet you out front." Bill didn't say anything. He looked scared. The three of us stared at each other. John Stevens walked through the door. "I guess this is Sally's doing." "Is there a problem here? Maybe the one from the party?" "Yes, I believe there is a problem." I spoke in a dark voice. Mel said, "There's no problem, Bob. There's nothing going on. You two certainly looked cozy until you saw me." I turned to John. "Did you notice how cozy they are, John?" He looked around at all of us. "Bill, your employment here is terminated. You were on probation. Now it's not." Mel stood up quickly. "No, John, that's not a solution to the problem. He's good at his job. There is nothing more between us." John said, "Mel, I'm not an old innocent. I see what I see. Ever since the party, I've been expecting something like this to happen, and the fact that Bob came tonight just moved the timing of this event up a bit. Something unhealthy is developing here, and I'm not going to allow it in this company. Maybe nothing bad has happened yet. But Mel, can you honestly say that nothing ever will?" "Mr. Stevens," said Bill, "I've done nothing to Mrs. Bolden but do our work. That's not fair." Stevens said, "Do you two, you and Melanie, really want to continue this discussion?" Mel said, "No." I said, "Why not? What happened?" Stevens told Bill to get out. Bill left. He turned to Mel. "Well, you or me?" Mel said, "Bob, Bill and I." The other day we hugged and kissed. Mr. Stevens walked in as we were parting. He didn't say anything then. "I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. But, Bobby, that's all that happened." I said, "Let's go to lunch. Maybe you could take the afternoon off." She did. We drove my car to a secluded place with Mexican food. No one from her office would be there. We placed our order. I asked Mel, "So, I'd like an honest explanation, because despite my warning and the fact that we have small children, you were heading for this guy's bed." "I really liked him. I was really attracted to him, and I don't know exactly why, but I was trying really hard to avoid these, awkward situations as much as I could." "Mel, you hugged and kissed, and today you two were making out on the couch before I walked in. Sally was so awkward when I showed up." She blushed. "Now he was gone. He was a temptation, the only one in our whole marriage. Now that he's gone, I'll be all right." "But he's gone? He just doesn't work with you. But he's around. He knows your number, where you live, where you work. How should I know? Bobby, I love you." That was the only time. Maybe I should go to some therapy to figure out why. I'm certainly quite satisfied with you, sexually or otherwise. I nodded, and we finished our meal. We went home, and I made love to her before I had to pick up the kids. That night, I did it again. This time with more love. When she fell asleep, I went downstairs and cloned her phone. I also installed a silent tracker and a text monitor. I didn't have anything that could take voice calls. The day after Mel left for work, I fiddled with her laptop so I could see on my phone what was going on there. I had absolutely no confidence in her. And indeed, around 11 in the morning, she got a call from Bill. It went on for 6 minutes. I drove up to her work. At 12:30, she went outside and left. She ended up at a Starbucks on the other side of town. Billy was there waiting. She and he discussed something for about 20 minutes. Then she left. I followed him. He went to an apartment complex, and I assumed he lived there. I watched until I had to go to the kids, and he never left. When Mel got home that evening, I asked how her day had been since Bill had been fired. It was fine. Tomorrow I'm interviewing applicants for the position. Anything else? Has he tried to contact you? He called. And? He said he was leaving town, going to his hometown. He asked me to meet him for coffee. I said yes. I said goodbye to him. I felt I owed it to him to meet him face to face. Okay. When's he leaving? I don't know exactly, but it's not my concern anymore. Okay. Uh-huh. It was Monday. I had a work trip scheduled for the following Monday through Wednesday. I decided to take precautions. I felt our marriage was nearing its end. I wasn't going to spend my days on pins and needles wondering when Mel would sleep with this guy or anyone else. But it would be so hard on the kids and on me if I didn't get custody. Besides, I loved her. She was a near-perfect wife and a wonderful mother. The rest of the week resulted in no further contact between them as far as I could see. Mel and I had a great weekend with the kids and spent 3 nights in bed together. She was a firecracker. I never got tired of her. I had 2 guys I knew who kept an eye on things when I went on a trip. It was in Pittsburgh, a 4-hour drive from here. I talked to Mel about the trip. Mel, any contact between you and little Billy would be unwise. Oh, don't I know that? He's probably gone by now anyway. I have kids. I realize you don't trust me. Well, you're right about that, for the moment. Trust can be rebuilt. Mel and Billy had absolutely no contact during the trip. When I got back, I had a report that Bill was still living in his apartment, but as far as my boyfriend could tell, was just looking for a job. There were no phone calls between them either. There was one thing, though. Mel stopped at 7-Eleven on her way home from work on Monday. The guy said she came out with a soda and a bag. I got home on Wednesday. Mel met me at the door with a big hug and kiss. The kids ran out of the TV room and smothered me. I was happy. We ate dinner, put the kids to bed, and went upstairs. Mel said how happy she was to see me, and she showed it several times. I got pretty suspicious. Her reaction in bed was, a little strange. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. But when she fell asleep, I slipped out of the bedroom and searched the entire house with a device for electronics. I found a disposable cell phone. It was in a drawer in the kitchen along with several plastic food containers. I pulled it out, activated it, and cloned it onto my little device. I was pretty sure my marriage was over, because why else would she have done it? It was 2 in the morning. I reviewed the material on my phone. There had been several calls to Bill's number. There were 2 messages back and forth. Mel texted Billy on Monday from her new burner phone. Billy called her right after that. Tuesday, there was a text and calls. The text suggested they meet Friday afternoon at Bill's apartment. 1:30 o'clock. Bill didn't show up for the show. I watched Mel drive up to his house. I watched as she got more and more frustrated when there was no answer. She started calling other apartments. Someone let her into the building. 10 minutes later, she was back on the street. She looked around, drooped, walked back to her car, and drove away. I took no pleasure in the whole thing. It was just something that had to be done. No one should interfere in a marriage. Mel was desperate for quite a while after Billy left her. She wrote to him and called him. He never responded. His cell phone no longer worked. His landlord vacated his apartment after he didn't pay the next month's rent and never opened the door. It turned out that his parents, who lived on the West Coast, had reported him missing. But it was a low-priority case, and the police here never seemed to bother with it. I had a buddy at the police department. I found out that his parents did contact his employer, and they were informed that he had been fired shortly before he disappeared. His wallet, ID, and credit cards were never found. However, one card was used several times in Phoenix, Arizona. It was then disabled for possible fraud. The bills were never paid. Bill closed his current account and took the cash just days after he was laid off. The cash was never found. There was $11,000 in change, a round sum that couldn't be ignored. All in all, it was a dead end. The case was dead. Mel kept the disposable cell phone. She still has it, but she's stopped checking it all the time, like she did when he wouldn't let her in. That Friday night, when he didn't show up, I asked her if she wanted to go out to dinner with me and the kids. She said she wasn't feeling well. I made her some soup and took the kids out for pizza. She hadn't been feeling well all weekend. She stayed in bed. I slept with her but left her alone. She didn't sleep well. Mel went to work the next week. She checked the disposable phone every night, but nothing. She was frustrated. The following Friday after work and after the kids had gone to bed, I asked her what was wrong. She just looked at me. For an unpleasantly long time, I didn't look away. I wondered what she had to say. I guess I was a little upset about what had happened to Bill. I liked him. I hope he's all right. I'm sorry, Mel, but maybe it saved our family. You had some, I don't know, serious problems with him. Why? Bob, my problems. She started crying, not crushing sobs, just tears flowing softly down her face. I said, "Oh, baby. He wasn't too worried about this job. He wasn't too worried about you either. He just wanted to get in your pants. He's a good guy. I made some mistakes getting close to him. I'm sorry. It just kind of crept up on me. I felt like I needed to. I felt like you didn't give me any space to deal with him. If you had that space, we'd be divorced by now. Is that what you want? I'm sure you could find him and join him. That could be arranged." Uh-oh. That was never what I wanted. I had some kind of connection with him, like a little magic in my life. It was never a threat to you. Well, not exactly. You were going to make love to him. That would have ended us. I wouldn't stand for it. It wasn't about making love. You give me great sex. I can't imagine better, but, he's just so sweet. Charming. He is. Did he insist on having sex with you? I bet he did. He was. He was lonely. He did suggest that we could have a little fun and no one would find out. But after the dance, he backed out. Did he really back out? It was after the dance when I found you with him, and after the dance when you kissed him. He didn't back off, and you didn't either. How could you do that to your family? I didn't cheat. I didn't do it, did I? You would have. If he hadn't, fired. Where is he, Bob? You didn't do anything? Please, Bob. I have no idea where he is right now, do you? No. Did you see him after the cafe? No. That didn't happen. All right, then. We need to get on with our lives. Bill's a dead issue for me now. I hope you can let it go, too. And come back. Be a mom and a wife. Gradually, we got back to normal. Sometimes I caught her looking at me strangely. 2 years later. Mel had just given birth to our third child, a baby girl named Chloe. She was breastfeeding. One day after dinner, the doorbell rang. I opened it. There was a man standing there. He was about 65, gray-haired, but he looked familiar. He said, "Hello, I'm William Newsom. I was wondering if you have a few minutes, you and your wife. I'm trying to find my son, William. I invited him in. I bought him coffee." Mel went downstairs after putting the kids to bed. She cast one glance at him and sat down on the couch. I said, "This is William Newsom, Bill's father. He's here for..." "What?" He said, "We're looking for him. We haven't heard from him in 2 years. This doesn't sound like him, and I'm hoping to get some answers." Mel asked, "Why did you come here? I haven't seen him since he left our company." "I was told he was fired because the boss thought you were getting too close to him. Is that true?" I did. "That's true. And I guess he left town." Mel added, I never saw him after that and never heard from him. William looked at her. Mel. We have his phone records. He made several calls and sent messages to one number right after he was fired. Is that your number? No. I haven't had any contact with him. Mel's answer was soft but definite. Well, I met him once at a coffee shop to say goodbye face to face. That's about it. William said, he was always getting into trouble with women. He went after married women. He'd been fired before because of it. And now, I just wish he could stop. We warned him. He looked at Mel. I'm sorry. She said, it wasn't you, it was him. You don't have to apologize. I'm the one who should apologize. No, he had a gift. He seduced his teacher his senior year of high school, made a big fuss right after his 18th birthday. She was married, she was fired and divorced. Mr. Newsome left. Mel seemed upset. She kept the burner phone in a nook of her dresser. I checked a few days later. The phone was gone. That was the last we heard from Mr. Newsome, or anyone else, about Bill. Mel was depressed again after his visit, for a while. But then she perked up, and our life returned to a semblance of normalcy. The baby was taking up a lot of her time. I was happy that she had this occupation. Before the baby was born, our family life seemed a little empty, and our sex life, while good, seemed to lack a loving touch. After the baby was born, it came back. One night, lying in bed, she turned to me. I think I had a strong addiction to Bill. I didn't see him for who he really was. I could have gone the way of that teacher. I know you would have resisted. I believe in you. It was a lie I felt compelled to tell. As I said in the beginning, some people believe I have a dark side. I disagree. I try to live a normal family life. That has always been my goal. Get married, have kids, raise them right. I do whatever is necessary to achieve that simple goal. The end.